everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1019 of our daily content streak. And today, we're going to be discussing a few repaints. We talk repaints all the time because it's gotten to the point where I'm pretty sure there are more repaints and retools and transformers than there are original toys. I'm pretty sure we have hit that point. I'm sure we hit it a long time ago. But that seems to just be how Transformers runs these days, but doesn't always mean that's a bad thing. Repaints have a lot of really good advantages. You know, it gives someone a second opportunity to get a mold that they may or may not have had the chance to get before. Gives them an alternative. If they don't like the deco the first toy came out in, you're probably going to get a second or even a third opportunity to get something that's a little bit more your taste. And sometimes it is an opportunity to create a brand new character that we find far more endearing than the original. So that's kind of what we are going to be focusing on today. These are just repaints and, yes, admittedly a few retools. We're gonna extend this out a little bit. That really just kind of overtook and overshadowed the original versions of the characters. You know, whether that, and for various amounts of reasons. So if we're going to start on this topic, obviously Skybite is going to be the first on the list. I don't think there is any better example of a Transformer who has completely overshadowed his original version than Skybite. I mean, look at him. Just look at him. It's about as extensive and impressive of a repaint I've ever seen. I just talked about how like Transmetal 2s kind of missed the ball on their own aesthetic by washing over entire areas with airbrush or chrome without really paying attention to the mix of the organic and cybernetic details. I think it robbed us of what would have potentially been an extremely cool looking toy line. Cybershark kind of played into that too, of course. However, we do have Skybite as a repaint. Now, number one, the character is just charming. The character is just incredibly endearing. But then you get this paint job on it that's just absolutely lavish. You got the circuit details brilliantly done. The tone of the shark skin is done well. Chrome blends into that rather than, trying to off-put it too much. It's just a brilliant job. It's just an absolutely brilliant figure. My example of what I wish they'd done to all the Transmetal 2s. I would have grabbed every single one if they did this to them. I guess if we're talking about this guy, then we got to talk about his crew as well. So that goes for these guys. So that is Slapper, Gas Skunk, and Darkscream. So this is just another way that a lot of times, like, a repaint can overshadow the original. Is just the original just really didn't get used. You know, these were non-show characters. These were just toys that were designed to fill out a wave of a toy line. Well, Takara, if you hadn't realized from Beast Wars 2nd and Neo, really liked taking advantage of unused molds to create something new. That is exactly what they did with this particular toy line. So we ended up getting some really cool decos. So the version, I will admit, Night Glider versus Darkscream, that is a personal preference thing. I like Darkscream's color scheme a little bit better, but that's just me. I really think Slapper does a way better job than Spitor does. Both not bad decos, but just like the obviously with my branding colors, I'm going to attach myself to like red, black, gold. Like, okay, but it just looks better on the mold. I'm sorry, it just does. And then obviously Gas Skunk is just like infinitely superior in deco to Stink Bomb. I don't think there's any questioning that. I don't think there's any kind of like debate to be had. It's just a fact of life, you know. Death, taxes. Gas Skunk is a way better deco than Stink Bomb. It's just the truth of it. It's just the three universal truths. It was a fun set. And really, if we're going on this subject of like repaints that overshadow the originals, we admit RID is easy pickings because that toy line was mostly repaints, and we get to deal with that little hiccup next time on my top 10s of the year, which reminds me, on Twitter, I'm running a poll right now. It's just like a quick little like one day poll thing of how do I handle the 2000 and 2001 lists. It's up there if you want to give your say. Just saying. So, yeah, who else we got in RID? Who else is a repaint that kind of overshadows the original toy? Gee, I can't really think of anyone else. Man, just kind of stumped here. Oh, yeah, him. So this also applies not only to just like the original molds, it also applies to very specific figures. Obviously, Scourge does not overshadow Optimus Prime, no Transformer could. However, when it comes to individual figures, oh yeah, this Scourge absolutely dwarfs the original Laser Optimus Prime. Don't get me wrong, you're going to get the Laser Optimus Prime toy here and there. We got one in Generations, we got one here in, we got one here in recent years, but let's be honest, every time one comes out, everyone just kind of keeps asking, when is it going to be redecoed into black? That's all we really want, isn't it? When a Laser Prime is announced, is a very rare thing. But every time, I think the one thing that is universal in Transformers is just people going like, where's the Scourge? How long until I get the Scourge? Which I think is just, it's just a cooler deco. It's just a cooler deco. And obviously, again, Scourge was actually on a cartoon. Laser Optimus Prime was not, so just exposure and notoriety is going to win out a lot more. And again, like I said, RID is very easy for things like that. Sometimes it's not about how good the redeco is, it's about how bad the original deco was. Case in point, the Masterpiece Starscream toy. It's weird to think this is not the original color scheme of this toy, isn't it? It's really weird to think that, but like, it's true in that while there are fans of the MP colors, the original Masterpiece 03 colors, you never hear anyone like really clamoring for any Starscream to be redone like that. I think it'd be a hilarious thing to do, but ultimately, it's not something that has much demand behind it. I've not heard like a big outcry of like, give me, give me that like dark aqua green Starscream. I don't hear that. It's just, it's kind of a thing, but it's really not. It's one of those things. It's just interesting to me. It's just interesting to me. Like, we've gone through the whole history of that toy on this channel before. It's a bizarre tale. There's a lot of twists and turns to the original Masterpiece Starscream. Go check it out if you want to. I will admit, though, this is kind of cheating. When the original color scheme isn't anything like the character you expect, of course his Masterpiece look is going to be dwarfed by a Generation 1 color scheme. Of course, that's going to overshadow the original toy. Let's go to a different Starscream that does a better job of that. That would be the Machine War Starscream. So, this is done from Euro G1 Skyquake, who is an exceptionally colorful character, as many Euro G1 toys were. This is a stark contrast. Dark black jet, dark grays and mild grays and more grays. Just little hits of color here and there to give it a little bit more personality. But it is a striking figure, isn't it? Like, considering the color is very minimalist, it does its job exceptionally well. It is a very, very cool figure to look at, and it's the one that I hear people asking for the most. We had the Generation Skyquake toy come out, and it was specifically tooled so that it could also pass for G1 Skyquake if they ever wanted to redeco it. It's like that's where that chest comes from, that of course Skyquake and Dreadwing didn't have in Prime. In this sense, I really wish that toy would come out in these colors with this mold. And I want to say this actually has more demand behind it than even the G1 Skyquake. This just looks cooler. It just does. There's a big reason why, I was going to say that's why BotCon did one, but not Skyquake, but they did do a Skyquake. So I stand corrected. It's just a cool design. It's a cool design in a much cooler color scheme. And doesn't mean I don't want the G1, because the G1's fun too. This just looks way more striking. Let me go back to the Scourge point, in that a particular version of a mold can be quickly overshadowed by a redeco of it. That's the Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. This has become one of the de facto 3. So it used to be that if an Optimus Prime came out, you could count on it getting a black repaint for Scourge or Nemesis Prime, and you could count on it getting a white repaint as Ultra Magnus. That was the 2 go-tos that we always expected. And then Shattered Glass Optimus Prime came out. And now it's him. Now you expect every mold to come out in those colors. And there have been a few, like there's been even like there have been like partner figures like like model kits, like the Flame Toys kit coming out in this color scheme. So it's extended way beyond just being a BotCon design at this point, to the point where the modernized deco that went on the original Classics Optimus Prime is again one that nobody ever talks about anymore. Nobody wants an Optimus Prime that has the blue on the shoulders. No one wants an Optimus Prime, that has that proportion, that unique animated, or Classics proportion to him. Nobody wants the deco that he had in vehicle mode with all that extra silver. No one asked for that, but Purple Optimus Prime, yes. I see Purple Optimus Prime as an option a lot. Again, no real surprise. It's a really cool looking deco. And unlike Scourge, who I feel like only certain Optimus Prime molds work, this color scheme works on just a standard normal Optimus Prime, which makes me very, very happy with it. Yeah, this is cool. And I'm starting to like, in my head, I quickly ran through and I just kind of realized I don't own any version of Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. I need to change that. Let's go to one of my favorites. We're going to go to one of my favorites now. Yeah, so God Neptune is also a thing. The original Seacons were released too late to join the cartoon and barely got to do anything in the Marvel Comics. Even in the UK run, there's just like, you go to TF Wiki, and it's just like a barren page. They didn't do anything of note. You have Turtler, the version in Master Force, who was a character, but, it's a character designed to get beaten up most weeks. So he doesn't really amount to anything, And then all of the Seacons in that series, aside from Turtler, are drones. So they don't have any character or personality to them. They're there to get blown up in mass. So it's a hard life being a Seacon. But if you're God Neptune, if you're part of this crew, you're a pirate. You're a space pirate. You have a far cooler looking color scheme that actually suits your aquatic nature really, really well. You've got weird things going on, like Scylla being in love with Scuba. Like, fun stuff. See, that's personality. That's character. That actually gives me something to actually get attached to. This is one of those cases where I think both in character and in deco, God Neptune trumps everything that you could ask for out of the Seacons. Now, again, that is a personal preference thing. I know a lot of people who really like the Seacon color scheme. I mean, and truth be told, I don't mind the Seacon colors either. But I just think when you get this pearlescent white and silver going, the bronze and the seafoam blue, like, this just looks so nice. There's a regalness to it. He looks like an Atlantean king, which is exactly what he's going for. Brilliant toy, brilliant color scheme, brilliant deco. Way better than the Seacons. Here's another famous one. As long as we're talking about pirates, let's go over to Cannonball. Here's another one that easily outshines his original. So Cybertron Red Alert, kind of a shift from his original Armada appearance. Still close, but it's not a design that really jumped at anybody. So, like, if you're getting a new Red Alert toy, which there is a leaked listing for, I believe, there is like a 10% chance it's going to be something that, like from Cybertron. No, it's going to be the Armada. It's going to be the Armada design, and it's going to be the Armada design. But we have Cannonball instead. And this is the one where I think, like, I remember back when this toy was announced and first shown off, and, like, everyone went nuts because it's such a cool color. So aside from just, okay, black, silver, gold. It's already looking good. And then all you need is that like appropriate accent color, and that's the purple. Hits really hard. Everyone likes the skeleton down the side. The skeleton down the side is hysterical. I love that design. I love the skull on top. That's really cool too. Yeah, this is just an overall really cool idea. And it all stems from Red Alert's gimmick of having a gun hand instead of like a left hand. Just go like, oh, like a pirate's hook. So let's just go with a pirate theme. And we're not going to remold one eye to be gone like he's got an eye patch. We're not going to add an eye patch to the head sculpt at this point. We're just going to paint the left side of his face. And hopefully that's good enough. And we accept that. We accept that that means he's wearing an eye patch. That's the most hilarious thing about that to me. That we're just kind of okay with that. Super cool figure. Super cool figure. Way, way more interesting. Ambulance toy Transformers are always interesting because you're thinking like, it's an ambulance. How do you turn it into a Decepticon? Or like, how do you reuse it? It's an ambulance. You know, there's only so many color schemes and designs you can do. They did something. Oh, and it's so good. So let's get into a few retools here, because it's not just repainted characters that actually do this. Retools are on the table as well, even when they're just as minor as a head sculpt change. So I'm going to use a couple of new toys as an example, because I think this is extremely pertinent to this little topic. We're going to start with Tailgate. And Tailgate is one that is far overshadowed, Wind Charger. Why did my brain blank on Wind Charger? Way outshadowed because of what later fiction did to him. Of course, in G1, Wind Charger is one of those characters who kind of has an episode, but no, not really, because it's kind of sharing a lot of screen time. You know, he's mostly there to solve the A plot of the episode rather than have a plot himself. But, you know, and then Tailgate is nothing. Tailgate's nothing in the original G1 cartoon. He's there for Trypticon to kick, and then he goes away forever. However, IDW actually did something with this character. IDW decided Tailgate's going to be the character that we make everybody love. He just became super endearing. The relationship with Cyclonus was, okay, a little awkward at first, but it evolves into something very wholesome, very enjoyable to watch. Like one of the best, like one of the better, like, will they, won't they types in the Transformer comics. I love the storyline they did. And then, of course, his notoriety because of his usage in IDW reached the point where Tailgate is actually the go-to. This toy that you see here is the first release. They didn't do Wind Charger until later. That's exceptionally rare. When the repaint or the retool ends up getting the toy first before the original. Before the 84 Autobot. Keep that in mind. That's how popular Tailgate was at the height of IDW. They got away with doing this one first and doing it comic book accurate instead of doing the original 84 cast character. That's very rare. That's very rare. And IDW did it twice. Swerve is exactly the same way. His existence in the G1 cartoon is to be turned into like a rail spike by Trypticon. Just stamps him into the ground. And that's the end of Swerve. And then, yeah, we get to IDW. And again, the character is just super endearing. Like, it's just way, way more interesting and way more fun to watch. They did fantastic things with him. And again, he got a brand new toy ahead of Gears. And Gears actually does have a full episode devoted to him in G1. You know, there is actual, like, history to the character. But Swerve, again, so popular at the time, he's going to get the toy first. That's a big accomplishment. Like that. I thought that was huge for IDW, that they managed to create characters so popular from nothing. From absolutely nothing. If we're talking about retool characters, I think there is one that drastically changed a character forever. And it's an 84 character. And that is Ravage. Again, now, admittedly, this one's a pretty extensive retool of Transmetal 2 Cheetor. But we do admit, Cheetor's original form tends to be more iconic. I prefer his Transmetal form above the other two. That said, this did so much. This, usage did so much for Ravage as a character. The toy itself became incredibly sought after because it was never released in the US, and the character was just so cool. Ravage in Beast Wars was such a cool character, and just obviously nothing like the original Ravage, because of course you don't have Soundwave there, but he's speaking, he's given personality, he's given a chance to shine. He's only got 3 episodes to really get himself across, and does so brilliantly, to the point where this is still a de facto Ravage for a lot of people. You know, it's hard to actually see this iteration of the character and how good and cool of a character he is, and then just go back to just having a snarling cat pop out of Soundwave's chest. You know, there's always that part of me is like, I really like this take. I would love to see this take again. You know, and every now and then they kind of touch on it. We got a brand new one for Kingdom. We got Alternators decided to base their toy off of Beast Wars Ravage rather than the original. Well, technically they did both Ravages, but still. But this is what really kind of gave Ravage a personality for the very first time, and I think it's colored his character ever since. You know, I don't think IDW Ravage turns out the way he does, unless, you know, if it wasn't for Beast Wars giving a personality to a character that otherwise was just there to just be a mean animal. So, this is a list that could go on and on. There are so many repaints out there, and it's questionable and debatable if certain ones overtake the original versions of the toys or characters, but there's plenty of examples. You're free to discuss your own in the comments below, but that is it for me. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.